After they got to watch the fall of Troy, Doug and Tony found themselves in the middle of a bunch of dead Union soldiers. They know the time is somewhere after 1868, which means the Indian Wars. Once the Civil War was over, the United States decided it was time to expand west and start exploiting all that land and resources that the natives were just letting go to waste by living in harmony and balance with it. Naturally, the white people determined that they were doing God's work, lied and cheated in every way possible, broke every treaty they ever made, and basically made you think that the deity they were serving is the one down there, not the one up there. While they were pondering all this, some Indians came along and started chasing them. With typical efficiency, Doug and Tony ran right into them and got themselves caught.
Look, we're not soldiers. We have no guns, no knives.
We don't even have bad breath. The leader says, tie them up and bring them. We'll kill them later. The boys are still trying to explain that they're not enemies, but he's not listening. In the control room, they've seen enough to know what time period they're dealing with.
This is General Kirk. Call the Indian Bureau. I want someone from the History Department who's familiar with the Indian Wars period on the Western Plains. I want him today.
I have a time reading. Summer 1876.
The way our hero's luck goes, that can only mean one thing. Two major events in Western history happened in the summer of 1876. One was the murder of Wild Bill Hickok. This is the other one. They have a time lock on the boys, but they can't get a spatial location solid enough to move them.
I am Crazy Horse.
That should tell them when and where they are.
Kill many soldiers. Kill you, maybe.
I told you we're not soldiers.
You come with soldiers? You will tell me. Where are rest of Yellowhair's men?
Only one Western figure was known as Yellowhair. And it wasn't Wild Bill, even though by all accounts the description might have fit him. Crazy Horse is still trying to get something out of them, but they insist they don't know anything about Yellowhair and they aren't with the soldiers.
Hold still, I'll cut you loose.
Where's the rest of your outfit, son?
I'm the rest of it. They're coming back.
Take off, I'll be right behind you.
Not for long, he won't. Tony will get about 3 steps, but Doug and that young soldier managed to get away.
I don't hear them anymore. Maybe they gave up and went back to their camp.
Let's be sure and talk out loud just in case they can still hear us. Who's his benefactor?
Trumpeter Tim McGinnis, sir. B Troop, 3rd Cavalry.
Where's the rest of your outfit?
You saw them, sir.
We won't find out how he survived, but since he's unarmed, I have a hunch he found a good spot and kept his head down. They were carrying dispatches from General Crook when they were ambushed. He has to deliver them. Doug says, I can't leave my friend.
But it would be 3 against you. They won't hurt him. Not yet, anyway. They'll take him back to their main camp and show him off.
And then what?
Well, by that time, we'll have enough help to get him out.
Help from whom?
From the 7th Cavalry, of course. The men I was taking my dispatches to.
Who remembers the name of the guy who commanded the 7th Cavalry? They sneak back long enough to steal a couple of horses and off they go.
General Kirk, Dr. Charles Whitebird of the State University, Dr. Ann McGregor.
How do you do?
I was expecting someone from the Indian Bureau.
I was contacted by the Bureau.
He starts identifying tribes on the screen and says, this is the most authentic film I've ever seen. That had to make 20th Century Fox happy since it came from their vault.
Doctor, those aren't films. That is the living past.
The living past. Those are not films.
The technique and engineering are classified, Doctor. Please just assume that we're right. That what you're seeing there is reality.
To put it another way, just go with it. Can you tell us what they're doing? And you tell us exactly where this camp was and where the 7th Cavalry's camp was. He says, the locations are disputed, so no, I can't.
My relatives are cooking up a big pot of trouble, I'd say. That's right, General. I'm pure blood Sioux.
Actually, you're of Puerto Rican heritage, but considering the rest of the Indians are being played by white guys, you're an improvement. By the way, I'm not going to apologize for using the term Indians in this episode. It was the common term in 1966, and with few exceptions, it was a neutral term. It wasn't derogatory, and if it was meant to be, it was usually slurred into Injun. To me, age 13 at the time, the term Indian meant brave people who fought valiantly for their land against impossible odds. I learned that from one of my favorite books growing up called Famous Indian Tribes. It taught me how the first Americans lived, how they learned to do things like tan hides and make jerky, how they squabbled with each other and it seemed like somebody was always at war with somebody else, just like Europe and everywhere else on the planet. And it taught me what we did to all that in the name of money. By the time the book got to the Little Bighorn, I usually found myself rooting for the Indians. So I'm going to keep using it for the rest of the episode. Besides, if the government can have a Bureau of Indian Affairs in 2020, I can use it when discussing a period piece.
Why do you come here? You do not belong here. This is Sioux land.
The land belongs to all of us. This is my land as well as yours.
You lie.
Okay, it's my land and I'll lease it to you. Sitting Bull says it's not often you hear a white man talk like that. He's most unusual. If he told you how unusual, you'd think he was bonkers.
Ask him about yellow hair.
I told you I don't know yellow hair.
See how he lies? Everyone know yellow hair.
That is true. Everybody know yellow hair. You say not know him. You not talk true. He is your prisoner.
Crazy Horse is determined to kill him, but now he just wants to be mean about it.
Be brave. Die brave.
Gladly, in another 60 years or so.
Brother, I will show you how to die.
He has Sitting Bull so off balance, the old boy should probably sit down. After that display and calling him brother, Sitting Bull won't allow it. He says, take him to my teepee. Our expert in the control room has narrowed the time down to just before June 25th. He knows that because it's not hard to identify this guy.
Well, if all goes well, Tom, I shall be a candidate for the presidency of the United States.
If all goes well. You're stretching your orders a little bit, George.
I have always stretched my orders. How the devil do you suppose I became a brigadier when I was only 21?
Dude, during the Civil War, anybody could become a general early because they were promoting left and right. And you conveniently don't mention that you got demoted after the war and had to work your way back up. His two commanders, Major Reno and Captain Benteen, come in questioning their orders.
General, you must not attack. Are you presuming to question my orders, Captain Benteen?
Your instructions from General Terry are explicit. You are not to attack the hostiles, but wait until Gibbons and Crook come up with their commands.
You've been in the Army long enough to know instructions are not orders.
While he's still arguing with his staff about it, Doug and Trumpeter McGinnis arrive and report.
The lieutenant was carrying the dispatches when we got hit by hostiles. He gave them to me by word of mouth, before he and the rest of the platoon was wiped out.
Go on.
General Crook was attacked on the upper Rosebud. He suffered heavy losses and was forced to turn back to regroup his command. He will be unable to join up with you on the appointed date. That's it, sir.
That should have been enough for Custer to call off his attack, but as you heard, he had ambitions. After this and a couple more battles, he was going to retire and run for president. As so often happens, ambition made him reckless. He looks at Doug and says, "Who are you?"
I'm a traveler. My friend, another civilian, and I were attacked by Indians. He was captured. Trumpeter McGinnis has assured me that I could get help from you.
Trumpeter McGinnis has assured you. Mr. Phillips, the Army has more pressing business than rescuing civilians.
Doug begs to differ.
General, the Army's mission is to aid and protect civilians in this country.
Don't tell me my mission, mister.
Somebody needs to.
Yes, sir. If you'll give me a horse and some weapons, I can go after him myself.
Sergeant! Put this man under arrest. See that he's held under guard and can't communicate with anyone.
He says, if I let you go, you'll be captured, and when they torture you, you might give away my position and strength. He won't even give Doug a chance to explain that he has no clue about either one.
Psst. Mr. Phillips.
Tim.
Going against my military oath to help you out of here.
How?
I'll divert the sentry. The horses are about 10 yards behind the tent.
I got one saddle.
While he's slipping away, Dr. Whitebird says, if I can spot some landmarker formation, I can give you a pinpoint location for him and you can yank him out of there. But they can't seem to hold a fix on either of the boys.
I don't understand.
You must fight. If you win, I will adopt you. Lose and you will die.
He has to fight a guy named Yellow Elk. They each have a tomahawk and a knife. This fight is really well choreographed. We have very few cut-ins. I think there's one of Sitting Bull. We have some close-up action from each contender. All in all, it's fun to watch. Especially since Tony wins.
My brother afraid to kill?
Brothers do not kill brothers.
Truly, you are my brother.
And since all men are brothers, none of us should be killing each other. But we do it anyway. It's what we do best. Some soldiers have caught up with Doug and arrested him again, but Dr. Whitebird has his landmark.
That's it! It's known as Indian Arch. It's on the route that Custer took to Little Bighorn. I can place it accurately on the geodetic survey map.
We'll get the maps for you at once.
Too bad Doug isn't next to it anymore.
Listen to me. I have a great magic. I can tell you now what will happen tomorrow and after tomorrow. I know that if you fight tomorrow, you'll win. You'll kill Yellow Hair and all his men.
But he says more soldiers will come and they'll destroy the Sioux nations. Crazy Horse says, I'm not leaving this land.
Then talk to the soldiers. Don't fight.
Crazy Horse, if Yellow Hair comes to this place to talk, then we will talk to him. If he comes to fight, then we will kill him and all his men.
But is there any talking to this guy?
Mr. Phillips, if you were a soldier, I'd have you court-martialed and shot. I have half a mind to do it anyway. From now on, you will ride where you can be watched.
May I ask where we're riding, sir?
To find and engage the Sioux at the Little Bighorn.
Doug says, then today's the day. By tonight, you and all your men will be dead. Custer laughs and dismisses him. Doug goes outside to talk to Captain Benteen.
Do you have any children?
A son who is 7.
In 8 years, he'll be as old as Tim McGinnis. Would you want him to ride with a man like Custer?
No.
Will you try to get him assigned to your command today?
Do you know something about this campaign I don't, Mr. Phillips?
If I were to tell you what I know, you'd say the same thing Custer did. That I'm daft.
I'll see what I can do about the boy.
Benteen's group missed most of the action. Doug knows that. If Tim was with him, he'll be safe. At Sitting Bull's camp, Tony is trying to convince the medicine man to send word to Custer that he wants to talk peace. Sitting Bull says he won't listen. Tony says, ask anyway so the world knows it wasn't you who started this. It's a good idea because Little Bighorn was a major turning point in the Indian Wars. As Tony predicted, thousands more troops poured into the region and started hunting the Sioux and their allies down with little to no mercy. Further to the south, soldiers pursued Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce through a place in Wyoming that is still known as Dead Indian Pass. And so it went. And so it goes.
Is that true, Doctor? Did Custer receive a peace offer from Sitting Bull?
There's no written record of his having received such an offer. But it is said that Sitting Bull remained in his lodge and did not take part in the battle.
Crazy Horse doesn't like the idea and sends Yellow Elk to make sure Tony doesn't get there.
I can't hold the image. When shall I activate?
You'll just have to estimate when he'll come abreast of the arch. Activate.
I think we all know what's going to happen.
And reverse your field.
It's too late.
First Tony beats him and now this. He is not having a good day. Are you?
What is this place? It is a place you were brought to prevent you from killing a good man. It is a place beyond the sunrise. Is this the place of the Great Spirit? It is a place of great mystery.
Nice dodge, Doctor.
Today our people will kill many soldiers. But many will come to punish our people for what they do.
It is better to die fighting.
It is better to live.
They will not let us live as our fathers lived before us.
For better or worse, those days were gone, especially the culture that revolved around the buffalo herds.
Do not cling to the old ways because they're old. If the new ways are good, learn them.
And where are the good men who will teach us good ways?
Sitting Bull is one. Another is the man you wish to kill. Go back the way you came and think of what I've told you.
Anne has a perfect lock on him so she can send him back to the exact moment they pulled him from.
I want to see General Custer. Look, I've got to see the general.
Tony, you made it.
Hey, you made it too.
Now that we're done stating the obvious, I believe you have a message?
What's going on out here? Speak up. Who are you?
The name is Newman, sir, Anthony Newman. I've just come from Sitting Bull's camp.
And still alive? Is this your missing friend?
He says he'll stay in his quarters. And if you come to him, he'll talk peace with you.
And you think I should accept his offer, I suppose.
A wise man would. But I know you won't.
He's obviously been reading up on how to win friends and influence people. Custer has them both arrested and taken away. Hence, no written record of a peace offer from Sitting Bull. We get a montage of smoke signals and warriors coming from everywhere. By the time of the battle, it's estimated the camp was 10,000 strong. Custer took his 700 men into that.
Boots and saddles in 5 minutes.
Sir.
How many more indicators do you need?
Trumpeter McGinnis.
Sir.
Call out and report to Major Reno. He needs a trumpeter.
But General, sir, I'd rather ride with you.
If you're going to be any kind of a soldier, lad, best learn to obey orders.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of glossing over the fact that he would more likely have been called a bugler since they played bugles and not trumpets. Trumpets have valves, bugles don't.
Keep them between you. The rear, they call them.
The Indians are fired up and ready to fight, and they have a fair idea that Yellowhair is on his way. There's been no word from the messenger of peace, but Sitting Bull will stay in his teepee. He won't take part in the battle.
Hey! Mr. Phillips! Wait!
What are you doing here?
Do as your betters do, I say. Does the general stretch an order now and then? You bet he does. Well, so did I. I'll get to Major Reno soon enough.
I think there's something wrong with my horse, Tony.
What's wrong with his horse is those soldiers and their horses are cramping his style.
Right, no! What are you doing? We ought to be fighting the Indians, not each other.
Tim, where's Reno's battalion?
He's crossing the Little Bighorn to attack.
All right, let's get mounted and get going.
Wait a minute, I don't take orders from you.
You do now, now get on that horse.
Yes, Dad. We watch a major skirmish between Reno's battalion and some Indians, and I have to admit, the way they integrate footage from the film vault with the show is practically seamless. You wanted to be in the middle of that, kid. Reno's bugler sounds retreat and the soldiers withdraw. Tim goes off to report to the major. Before Doug and Tony can do anything else, Yellow Elk appears.
I think like Sitting Bull.
Good. You and we are brothers.
Yes. And also those in big tunnel with fire up in sky. I think like them. You go now.
Tunnel? What kind of tunnel?
Go quick before you get same like Yellowhair.
General, Ray, and you got some splaining to do. Time to start looking for a new presidential candidate. It didn't even have to change their clothes this time. Are they back on Krakatoa? Do they have to do that again?
Here are the prisoners! Where are you? Onto the beach. Oh, you think I want to be stranded here? My ship leaves in minutes.
He called those men prisoners, and those aren't Krakatoa native clothes, so I guess not. No, this is worse. Somehow, Tony and Doug will get mixed in with that bunch and find themselves prisoners, too. Prisoners where?
Gentlemen, welcome to Devil's Island.
They would have done well to land anywhere else. Nobody will listen to a word they're saying. All the guards and everyone else assumes they're just two more French prisoners. Devil's Island was a French penal colony off the coast of South America. They mainly used it for political dissidents, and it was not a nice place. We'll talk more about that next time. I was impressed with the portrayal of General Custer. The arrogant, I am invincible attitude that said, I know what's best and I'll do what I want no matter what command says. His willing to attack non-combatant parts of the Indian camp, which earned him the name Woman Killer among the Sioux, and just the raw ambition came through like I've never seen it done before. Contemporary records made it clear that he, not Sitting Bull or Crazy Horse, was the aggressor and started the fight. Yet it took until 1991 before the white man had the guts to rename the battle from the Custer Battlefield National Monument to the Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument. Only us white people would spend 100 years visiting a monument to the loser. The aftermath, of course, was horrible. It came to an end after the massacre at Wounded Knee in 1890. Today, over 100 years later, after all that we've learned, as much as we supposedly developed and advanced and grown, we still have this one group of people in America that we relegate to reservations, ghettos, if you will, and say, you're not part of us. You have to stay in this little spot and be dependent on the government. You have to get special permission to come out among the rest of us and try to make something of yourself. Why?